the new soul-led coaching and mentoring certification training. So I just wanted to pop on and just share a little bit about the foundations of this, what makes it different from a lot of life coaching and other type of spiritual, coaching and training courses, and the big why behind this actual training. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Eileen Burns. I'm a soul empowerment coach, I'm a healer, a therapist. I also own Stress Coach Training. I spent a large part of the last 25 years teaching stress management, meditation, holistic wellbeing, things like that. But I also have run now, how long is this Spiritual Marketing Club? My goodness, is it about 11 years? I've always had a side of my business where I help people with their business and marketing have a more soul-led spiritual marketing strategy. I'm very passionate about helping healers and coaches and therapists be more soul-aligned in their marketing and their branding and things like that, because one of the things that I saw was a big problem for me, and I saw it in a lot of healers particularly, was a lot of marketing strategies that felt very icky and went totally against the ethics and even the energy of what a lot of healers stood for. And so I did that, but also a lot of my work, I always attracted quite a high majority of people in my work. It was mostly people that were highly empathic and highly sensitive and more conscious, and more into the holistic and spiritual, approaches. And I seem to attract those sort of clients, even when, for a long, long time, I've been studying in the holistic and healing field from the early 90s. And I was someone that invested a lot of not just money, but time and energy into this path, because I think, well, for lots of reasons. I had lots of medical challenges, and I had also, something, an inner calling in me that knew this wasn't just a job or a career, it was my life, right? And it became my life. Everything became my hobby. So I invested highly. I was fully committed in it. And one of the things that I noticed, so I started investing in, even before I studied healing, my first healing modality was Reiki. Even before that, as a teenager, and particularly even as a late teenager, my father had a lot of self-growth books. He was very into business development and personal development. So that kind of inspired certain things, and I always had a curiosity about helping people with a purpose, right? I loved helping my friends identify their gifts and what they were really good at. That was something I was always passionate about. And I've always loved helping my clients and students with that. But one of the things that I noticed in both the healing, the therapy and coaching industry was that many of the therapists and healers and coaches that I went to, but also who I worked with, were often so entangled with the technique they were using and the approach that they could lose themselves and lose what they're, I'm not saying totally lose, but kind of disconnect a bit from their own innate gifts and maybe what they were truly here to do. And for example, people would do certain healing modalities, but they may have been more of a teacher, or they may more have been a stabilizer, or they may, be someone that is more like a detective. You see this in therapists. But sometimes they, because the way that we're taught certain techniques, and I'm also a stickler, so even I'm saying this, I'm a bit of a stickler for foundational skills and really good training, because I was someone that had a lot of problems and a lot of challenges dealing with a lot of people that weren't as maybe qualified or experienced as what I thought they should be dealing with certain types of clients. But on the other hand, I could see where people could get lost, start losing themselves, or when they didn't really know themselves, they were doing a lot of work that was depleting, that they were working with a lot of clients they really shouldn't have been working with, or clients that weren't suited to them, or clients that just where they couldn't share the greatest gifts. And I saw in the coaching industry particularly, so I started studying coaching over 20 years ago, and to be quite honest, I'd done lots of coaching courses even before that, but I suppose I started taking it more seriously 20 years ago. And I then went on to do a kind of university kind of coaching course that was life coaching and had a bit of spiritual coaching in it. And at the time I had been studying stress management up to that point, I think for over 10 years. And I decided to make stress management coaching one of my main things. But one of the things that I noticed in the stress management field when I first started in studying in that, and in the coaching field, and some of the personal development, there was a lack of depth in relation to spiritual and soul connection. It just felt it was missing. I always felt that a lot of things that were taught, and even things that had supposedly a spiritual approach, for me it didn't feel as if there was enough depth. And one of the things that I noticed with even a lot of my clients that, maybe had already went down the personal development route, particularly I'll give you some examples of clients. So maybe clients that were really successful in one level in their life, maybe had companies or were doing really well, but they would come to me when I was doing stress management, suffering from extreme burnout, maybe then their businesses were crumbling and it was due to a variety of things. It was, this over goal setting in relation to you can have everything and you can achieve everything, but it came then at a cost and started losing everything, or losing their health, their relationships, and then their businesses. And one of the things that I noticed very early on, just to do with my own circumstances, my health, was a lot of mindset and goal set kind of approaches that I felt were misaligned with many people at their core essence. And it was very, what I mean is, I'm saying it's material goals. I'm not saying that material goals are negative. That's not what I mean. But a lot of it was superficial, or the person was focusing on goals that were led by the shadow. And most coaching programs, one of the things that I noticed were they didn't have that depth. Yes, I'm a bit out of certain types of questions, but also what I noticed was how much we bend to certain approaches or bend to certain training views or certain things that are not always aligned with our core gifts. And also how we can start to lose ourselves or actually not come in, not recognise our gifts. One of the things that I saw also was, and I was always I'm still surprised to this day, is how many healers who have done work on themselves that still really don't see their gifts and don't see their power. And if I'm investing in a coach, for example, I want that coach to be really experienced in the topic or the area that they're helping with me and have a skill or a gift in that area, right? And what we've seen is with this kind of mass saturation of fast track training or even cheap training, there's a lot of things just put out in tools, and even like assessment, there's a lot of things done where no one's even assessing the coach to see if they're very good. There's not an encouragement of people also finding their way. And that's why I wanted to create, one of the reasons I wanted to create I've always wanted to do something like this training. And I had two blocks about it, if I'm being honest. So there was blocks in relation to any really good coaching course has usually hundreds of hours of case studies you have to do, and then someone is checking those case studies and checking what you're doing. Now, if you're a small business like me, right, that is just not practical, and it's one of the reasons why I didn't do training like this before. But anyone that knows me knows I work with archetypes. I believe that archetypes can be really a powerful tool for people to understand and to know. It can be a quick way to understand patterns. It can be a quick way to actually either empower a client or help them access aspects of energy and patterns that can really support them. So for example, the easiest one to explain is, we all need more creativity, and even creative people, everyday life, the more that we can have a creative view on something, we can bring it can be very solution-led. So when you think more creatively and are open more creatively, you find more creative solutions to everyday things, right? And you can end up doing, having something that does a lot better than what you did before, right? That's an example. Now, if you think about something like the hero archetype, so the hero archetype is all about strength, courage, and it's very much about bringing the underdog up and being with them through the grit and whatever. Now, we all need a bit of the hero archetype and within ourselves, but also sometimes we need a bit of the hero archetype around us, someone that is going to embody that, right? And, for example, certain times in my life, I've been attracted to certain types of teachers and therapists who embody a certain energetic essence, and they have something, right? So there is something else that's going on that is drawing me, is resonating with me, right? And it's because they're bringing something else to the table that is going to support that process, right? And that's why I believe archetypes are really powerful. And archetypes can quicken a lot of insight for you as the coach or the teacher, the mentor, the guide, but they can also support the clients. So this soul-led coaching certification is based on this. Now, what had actually happened was I had actually been putting off, I had planned to do some training. And I had been putting it off, but I had a series of events where people had reached out and asked me if I'd offered spiritual coaching, or if I've ever considered offering that as training, because they would really like to do that. And it was really interesting because I had been going to put out an archetypal training course, and I had been debating how I did it. Would I be able to do the live? Should I do it as a live? Should I do it as all modules? And then something clicked and made me realise that, I coach through the archetypal lens. I work through the archetypal lens, and I've done that for a long, long time, right? I've done it since I've done the spiritual marketing, but I've also, I've had an insight into archetypes from very young, and I've studied counselling and different things, and studied a bit of psychotherapy and things like that, so I have understanding of these things. But it made me realise that a lot of the archetypal approaches that I use for things, and I use and I teach, and I don't even think about it because it's just so ingrained in me, is actually a really powerful way to quicken the coaching process. But also, which I think is more important, is help the coach or the guide or the mentor, what you would like to do, get more to recognise your strengths and also recognise your weaknesses. Because if you do not know your weaknesses, you don't know what you're really here to do and what you're not supposed to do. And also you can start taking on a lot of clients that are not very happy, or that you feel that you can't do your best work, or you start losing your confidence, your self-esteem, because you're hitting up like this resistance, right? And once you understand yourself, I think what happens is I always find there's some people that I've worked with, and I can work with them years, and they're really in the resistance mode, and they don't even realise they've got these big blocks around them, right? And it's like this solid egg that they've created. And no matter what you try to do to break through, they're very easily triggered, but they don't understand that trigger is, underneath that trigger is this beautiful golden egg of gifts that's there that is ready to flow open, right? And often when they do deeper work and they can see what's underneath the shadow of something. They can often see the gifts. And this course is much about helping you become, a better version of you. And it's not a better version, it's what I believe is a true version of you, a more authentic version of you, so that you can coach with integrity and you can coach people that you're supposed to coach with, not just anybody. I don't want to be coached by anybody. I want to be coached by someone who is a perfect match for me and who understands me, who can really support me in a great way. And that's what clients deserve, and that's what you deserve. So, sorry, I had to go and get some water. So the soul-led coaching and mentoring training, so it's not just coaching. The models that we're going to look at what life coaching is, we're going to look at what spiritual coaching is, and what I call more soul-led coaching. And I'm going to be bringing a bit in about things like the wounded healer and some of the main archetypes, so that you can understand that and see your clients and yourself through those lens. I'm also going to be looking at teaching some other things. For example, I'm going to be teaching a quantum technique that I've used for years, which is quite powerful. I'm just going to include that as a gift inside the course to help you get into more a real quantum space, which can be really powerful when you work with clients. But one of the main things about this training is that it's about helping you understand yourself, because you cannot coach other people. You cannot go deep, and I believe in go soul deep, if you're not prepared to go soul deep yourself. So it's about that. It's about helping clients and support them in an aligned way, and for you then to leave this coach training feeling more confident about what area of expertise is, what area of coaching or mentoring or even leadership is best suited for you in your work. Now, I do plan to start the training. It was originally going to be the 23rd of July, right? But I'm actually going to, and then there was one, it would be the first Saturday morning. That would be UK time, we start then the training. And what I think I'm going to do is actually run another, because I'm going to do some free webinars that are going to be related to this subject that you'll be able to join. I'm going to talk about a lot of valuable things that will be related, and other people can experience sometimes, my insight and my work. So I do plan, I think what I'm going to do on the 23rd now is actually just do another webinar, just to do with timing and things like that, just to see if anybody else wants to join in and also experience some of the topics. Now, what I want to say is there is some early bird offers that if you pay fully before the 24th of, now I think now I did originally say it was the 20th, I think, of June, but I've extended it to the 24th, right? And I will put a link where you can get a bit more information and you can download the brochure with that information. Also, those that were on my past training, my stress management training and relaxation training, you've got an offer out to as well. So make sure you check that out. If you didn't, let me know. And the key here is there is payment plans available, but obviously for the discount, the early bird discount, that is for full people that are going to pay the full payment, as I said, by the 24th of June. And we plan to run it so I'm aiming for about 32 weeks, but the reason why I'm saying about 32 weeks, this is the first time I've run this like this, and there is some things that we're going to do, and it might come that the students might feel they need a wee bit more work. So what I'm doing is saying it's roughly 30 to 32 weeks, right? And how it works is it runs every Thursday evening from about 6:30. Now, I'm saying 8:30, but anyone that knows me, sometimes I go a wee bit over. So accommodate another 15 minutes. And obviously, if any want to stay for extra time, that is fine. So we're talking about 6:30 to, even if you schedule just under 9 o'clock, right, and that, gives you a wee bit more leverage. So that's every Sunday night, 6:30 to p.m. to that. And it does require about 80% attendance, live attendance, because part of the work is actually engaging in me being able to see you working and understanding how you work, and it's interaction. Good coaching is not just about teaching something, it's the interaction, and it's building skill sets and helping, and for me to help you develop as a coach or a mentor or whatever, it's important that I can absorb students and students interact, right? So it's Thursday, and then a Saturday morning. This is UK time. And I do know that some of you, I know I've had in the past a lot of particularly American, students. If there is, if there's a high intake, more than expected, of American students, I might do another, instead of a Saturday morning, I might do like a Sunday evening, or even a later Sunday afternoon or something. I might accommodate that, as an extra every so often. But it will also run once a month, and that'll be a Saturday morning, and it's the first Saturday of the month, and it runs from about 9:30 to, we're talking about, say, 1:15, 1-ish. And again, it might go just a little bit. And again, the reason why is a lot of the Saturdays will be either workshops or will be a chance for you to pair up with other students and use some of the tools and some of the approaches and help each other. And sometimes what happens is when we're practicing, it can go on a little bit longer than maybe sometimes we plan, right? And I do not want to stop students in the flow, right? And obviously if you do need to go on course, those things, but that's why I've designed it. I'm trying to make it a little bit flexible. And if this is something you would really like to know more about, but you would like to even have a chat with me, I will put a link below. At the moment, I've been having problems with email automation. I'm having terrible challenges getting, for clients and students, getting a lot of my emails. So I've been in the process of, with someone who spent a large part of last night trying to sort that. So we'll hopefully sorted it out. But it meant that some of my schedulers were different. But what I'll do is I will put some links where you can, get a chat, but please use the chats only for that. It's not for trying to sell me something or anything. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that use these when you put a link up for chats for coaching or training, who actually use it just as a marketing to try and sell their products. So I will put that below. And I'm really excited about it. I think this could really help a lot of you, particularly a lot of you that are healers, who want to empower your clients, who know it's not just about showing up and giving your clients treatments. You know the importance of empowering your clients, and if you want to take your business to a whole new level, and also take your income to a whole new level, I think this approach could help a lot of you. So if this is something you're interested, let me know, and I will be doing more videos, and I will be doing a webinar that will explain the content that is actually in the training. Okay, bye for now. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.